Stocks and markets.
All right, well, Bryce, before we get into the news that is moving markets, you've got some news on things that are moving in your portfolio.
Yes, yeah. A bit of an update on something that I've bought in recent days, and that is mineral resources.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been on the watch list for a while.
It's down, what, like 70%?
I think it's down 45% year to date.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's taken a serious tumble. It's been on my watch list for a long time, given how a lot of our experts on the show talk about it. High quality company, you know, led by an amazing founder, and just a company that continues to underpromise and overdeliver. And it's really taken a tumble, and it's been tied to the fortune of the lithium price this year. However, boldly they came out last week and said that the lithium price has bottomed.
Okay, I'm just looking at its chart. So it was down about 65%, but then it's bounced about 25% in the last week.
Yeah. Well, because last week they came out and said the lithium price has bottomed.
Okay.
Their reasoning for this was a major producer over in China of lithium. There's unconfirmed reports that it's shut down, unconfirmed from China, but globally many people are like, we know it's shut down.
A lithium processor?
Yeah. And so they reckon that a huge chunk of supply is now coming out of the market. And so they think this is the bottom because everyone's closing down at the moment. No one can survive on the lithium price as it is at the moment.
Yeah.
They reckon this is the bottom. Now, opportunistic buy. But for me as well, down 45%, I figured it's a company that I've wanted to own for a while. Their mining services business is still going strong, and I've taken it as a chance to get in. So I've put it as about a 2% positioning in the portfolio. I want to get it up to about 5%.
Yep.
But I'm going to see how it, because as you said, it bumped after the news came out last week. Lithium price went up a little bit as well, but who knows where to from here.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. Obviously, this is just Bryce's portfolio moves. It's not a buy, hold, or sell recommendation. But let's keep moving with the news. And I think the headline that is emerging that we kind of have spoken about for months and that we knew was going to come, and the day has finally arrived. Australia is out of sync with the rest of the world.
Yes. Now, what you mean by that is when it comes to our interest rate movements.
Yeah, well, and inflation. I think importantly. Yes. So while the rest of the world perhaps moved more aggressively and moved faster on raising interest rates and really fighting inflation, Australia perhaps moved a little slower, didn't raise as much. And now we're seeing the result of that is that Australian inflation still is a little bit sticky, floating around that high 3s and 4% a year, whereas a lot of other countries have got it back under 3% and have given themselves the capacity to cut.
Yes.
So a quick around the grounds. The European Central Bank cut for the second time in 3 months. The UK cut in August. Canada has actually cut 3 times already, their latest being this month. New Zealand cut in August for the first time, and the United States is going to cut this week. It's all but guaranteed. The question is really just how much. Australia, on the other hand, doesn't look like it's going to cut interest rates this year.
No, absolutely not. There was talk a couple of months ago that they were even going to increase, but yeah, definitely out of sync. We've spoken on the show what impact that is going to have on the Aussie dollar, Ren, as all of these countries start cutting and we're staying where we are. You would imagine, well, it already is impacting the price of the Aussie dollar.
Yeah, in theory, that people can get a better rate of return from their money in Aussie dollars than in other currencies, and so people will move to Aussie dollars, which will strengthen the currency. But look, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, we've spoken about interest rates and inflation a lot, and it's just going to get even politically harder now when we look out at the rest of the world and their cutting rates, in Australia perhaps is going to need to raise or at least hold for a little while. So I think, you know, we already have seen the Treasurer and the RBA governor subtweeting each other in the media, blaming each other for the state of the economy. We've seen recommendations to the RBA's board structure basically fall away. The opposition have not given their support. The Greens have put conditions on it that probably won't be tenable for Labor. So it's like we're out of sync. It's become a political football. It's just not a good setup at the moment for like long-term proper debate and structural reform.
Yes, yeah. It could get quite messy, which is concerning for us. Messier, yeah. We could get in a fair bit of trouble. But anyway, we'll see how it pans out. Time of recording, we are anticipating how much the US cuts. But let's move on. OpenAI, Ren, a pretty big announcement in the development of their AI capabilities.
Yes. Well, I mean, we seem to get a lot of big announcements that we don't really understand. You know, new model does this, new model does that. So here's their latest model, O1.
Yeah.
It can operate at a PhD level of maths and science.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what it's operating at now, though, because whatever I'm throwing into OpenAI, it seems to be managing it pretty well. GPT-4, like, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, well,
phenomenal.
I think a big build this one is it takes more time to think. So you won't get the answers as quickly, apparently. But that's perhaps not the worst thing.
Fine. I don't think I'm after OpenAI to spit it out at its speed. You just want the best answer possible. Yeah.
It is just like this ongoing march. Like the more and more applications will come as it gets more and more sophisticated.
Yes, it's getting closer and closer to not artificial intelligence, but general.
Artificial general intelligence.
Artificial,
AGI.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's getting closer.
It feels like it.
It's still arguably just like pattern matching and formulaic, and it gets taught so much data, and it just can accurately predict what the next thing is.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about the complexities of AI because it is not in our circle of competence. What is in our circle of competence is the business side of this story. And the OpenAI business story is pretty amazing. So they're in talks with the UAE, or a UAE-backed fund, the United Arab Emirates, to raise money at $150 billion valuation. Now, to put that in perspective, that'll be like right at the tippy top of private companies. You're talking the SpaceX's, the ByteDance, which owns TikTok, and Stripe. But it'll be big. They all sort of sat around the 100 bill in 2021. Some of them have had their valuations cut. So this is massive. But what is even more impressive is the rate of growth. So 150 billion now, it raised at 86 billion last year. And that 86 billion was 3 times the valuation it raised at just earlier that year.
Yeah.
So in about 18 months, it's gone from about $30 billion valuation to $150 billion valuation. Off
4 billion annualized revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is also growing incredibly quickly. I think it was up 580% year on year.
Yeah.
So unbelievable story. Yes. I'd love to invest.
One of the conditions of this investment, so OpenAI was a not-for-profit when it was founded. And then as it raised at higher and higher valuations, it changed to a capped profit model where it was limited by the amount of money it could make. Part of the conditions of this investment from the UAE is it removes that cap and just becomes a normal for-profit company.
Makes sense.
Which seemed to always be where this was headed.
Yes. Yeah. Will this list, or will it go down the route of staying private for as long as possible?
Or will Microsoft try and buy it?
Swoop in. Unbelievable.
I mean, why would you list if you could raise $10 billion at $150 billion valuation? Like, what, you just wouldn't need the headaches of being a public company.
No need. Anyway, we'll continue to watch this one closely.
Equity mind. I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.